theme song. All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Last Newsdesk on the Left. I am your host, Mac Paladin, and of course, we have the usual crew of suspects here.
I object. I am nothing usual. I object. I am nothing usual.
I like how that repeated. That was great. All right, Adam is here.
Right. I don't know what a Steam song is.
Theme song. And don't make fun of my speech impediment.
All right.
Kevin is here.
Hello.
Petty Fan is here.
Oh God, where am I?
And the Galax.
Hi.
As opposed to the low.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so allegedly we have a good show for you tonight. We have some major topics of discussion. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Adam, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Well, we got a lot this week. A lot of that has to do with the fact that news broke this, today, as it often does. But we're starting off with what we're calling the plague of the misinformed, or, the plague of idiocy. However you want to frame it.
I'm vaguely amused and also infused by the way that NPR phrased it, of it's becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
And I think that is a key thing to keep in mind here.
I cannot hear it without yelling back. That's how vaccines work.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Because, like any good horror movie villain, COVID just had its third act reappearance. Thought we...
It got a mutation, and it got a little bit stronger in terms of viral load, and it's something that could be controlled with a higher amount of vaccinations in this country, but unfortunately, the right-wing nutjob media, led by Fox and the right-wing internet, decided to go, hey, maybe vaccines don't really work.
I think
don't take them.
I think that's more OAN and Newsmax at this point.
Fox contributed. Let's not beat around the bush. Fox
yeah, I mean, if Tucker Carlson is any indication, what was his latest screed about Nazis and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he said segregation's back.
Oh yeah. What a quality what a quality human being.
Yeah. Mind you, Tucker Carlson is vaccinated, as is everyone else at Fox News.
Well, of course. I mean, of course, isn't that the standard move of the proletariat?
Yeah. These are secretly vaccinated people who are telling the non-vaccinated people that vaccines don't work, even though it works for them.
Yeah. And keep in mind, it's not just the right-wing news media. The leadership in actual governments, like up until recently, has been promoting anti-vax shit. Like, the thing is, those people have done a complete volte-face because it turns out getting your constituencies sick and possibly dead. Yeah.
It's not a long-term solution. It's not a good long-term strategy.
Well, not to keep... Yeah. It's like, look, you can't... Yeah, you don't stay in office if you don't have any voters. And, and it's a powerfully cynical motivation, but it's still a motivation for them to not promote anti-vax shit anymore. That's the more important part here.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they did it for too long a time, and it's now to the point where if you do it about face, those people are going to call you big pharma sellouts.
Yeah, well, also keep in mind, it's not like this is a new thing when it comes to either being anti-vax or making the coronavirus part of the culture wars. Remember?
No, it was last year. That's the thing about this, really, is that we're talking about the same things that we did last year, which is that these are common sense, scientifically proven ways of stopping the virus. Yet, unfortunately, people on the right side of the political spectrum decided to go, "This is problematic. This is against your. This is taking your freedoms away." Yada 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 yada.
Right up until they get the virus, and then
Right
they're
up
like,
until they get it. Then they're like,
yeah,
"Oh shit, this is actually a problem. I could actually die." Okay, give me that shot right there.
yeah, and they're like, and the
They
hospital
are.
people have to tell
Yeah.
them it's too late because you
Yep.
know what vaccines
Yep.
are? They're a preventative measure.
Yep. It's like It's like these are all I call them this. They're all children. They are spoiled brats who need to be told to do something, who need to be forced to do something. Because if you give them the choice, if you give them the freedom to do whatever, they're always going to choose. I'm not going to get that. Why should I?
Right.
And then they find themselves winding up in a ventilator, breathing out of a tube,
Yeah.
and even worse, dying. So it's like whenever I hear people say personal responsibility and or choice, you're opening the door.
As a quick correction, I meant the aristocracy.
Yeah, sure, whatever works.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the problem is the personal responsibility, as seen in our, prerequisites for automobile insurance,
Yes.
approximately end where your rights start impacting other people's rights.
Yes.
Or other people's consequences.
Yes. So because of the fact that we have too many unvaccinated people in this country who are openly lying about the fact that they are not vaccinated, we have a situation where mask mandates are coming back and vaccine mandates are coming.
But it'll still be illegal in Florida to prove that you're vaccinated. Or to require things to prove that you're vaccinated.
In terms of governmental agencies, if big businesses require people to wear masks and require them to have a vaccine, there's probably nothing the federal government can do.
I have been keeping half an eye out on the whatever the thing is about the Florida allowing cruise ships to start going through again with the same kind of perspective you use on a train wreck. That definitely that like there hasn't been a crash yet, but there are definitely two trains that are going opposite ways on the same track, and there are not many off routes.
Well, the exploding oil rig was 2 weeks ago, so close enough.
Close, but it's like if it comes to the point where DeSantis is insistent upon, freedom to the cruise industry, who do not want to be sued by people who go on the ship, are going to go, we do not want the publicity of a massive COVID outbreak on one of our ships, thank you very much.
And remember, cruise ships are like plague factories at the best of times.
Yes, they're petri dishes. I mean, remember at the beginning of the pandemic, we actually had multiple cruise ships with big fat outbreaks that we tried to keep contained by keeping them at port.
And guess what? It kind of worked.
Yeah.
And it worked
until people got off.
Yeah, I've been talking with my customers about the con plague, which is something that those of us who attended and presented at conventions regularly experienced. Again, the whole petri dish concept, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not a cold, it's not a flu, it's some weird amalgamation of awfulness that makes you feel generically sick and they can't quite identify or cure.
Yeah, it's like when you have a large amount of people in an enclosed space with a certain kind of a certain kind of ventilation that is not open and widespread. I mean, you get an outbreak.
Indeed.
Anyway,
Robot.
What is that noise?
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto?
Sorry, I'm changing my headphones here because one pack is losing its battery, and I have to switch to the other one. So
Gotcha.
That was neat. It sounded like a '64 Oldsmobile starting up.
Yeah, as long as it's from an actual thing that we can place, I don't care, because we can fix it.
yeah,
I remember using. I remember using. Whoops! Wow.
That's why I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute!" Earlier when I was talking, and I interrupted because I heard it in my ear, and it's like, "Oh no, I got 10% on my battery. I gotta shut it off and switch."
This reminds me of TeamSpeak back in the early 2000s.
Anyway, so the
Anyway,
Computers talking to each other. Don't worry,
Okay.
that's the secret FBI monitoring system under Lake Mead.
anyway, right. Moving forward, let's see. Yeah, so it's I guess finally Infrastructure Week.
Yep, I was just reading an article about this that they've advanced the bipartisan bill to the floor. They're currently holding back on the $3.5 trillion we're going to shove it up your ass bill.
The House has said they're not going to work on that until the bipartisan bill is passed or something along those lines.
Right, they're holding on that until all the breath has been removed from the room.
yeah.
But yeah, the important thing is the major issues have been agreed upon, and they had a floor vote to advance discussion to pass the actual bill.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, they got the preamble done. I don't think we have a timetable yet on what the debate scheduling and I'm trying to remember, is there going to be a Votorama session on this, or
I don't think we know that yet until maybe next week. I don't think so, considering that I think everybody's going to be on the same page on this. I don't think there's going to be one, but we'll see.
Fair enough. But I know, the only time parameter that's been given to us is they hope to pass both this and the reconciliation bill by the August recess. When is the August recess exactly?
In August.
I think they're probably going to start it after the bipartisan vote. I think after the final vote, I think is when they're going to start it.
Right. The thing is, they're holding off on this until they get this bipartisan bill done. So, well, yeah, that's what Chuck Schumer indicated. He said, if they have to work nights and weekends, they'll get it to get it done. They'll get it done because Congress really likes their vacations.
Funny how that works. They didn't spend so long get elected to have to do work all the time.
Yeah, well,
I mean, in theory,
the August recess is actually has a lot more history behind it that we don't really have time to go into. But let's just
remember when being a politician was a part-time job?
Anyway, but the infrastructure package is looking to pass, since the final vote was for 67 to 18, if I'm remembering correctly.
Hold on, let me roll up here. 67 to 32.
32. There we go. And I think it was 2 abstaining, or
well, the math on that is 1.
Yeah.
67 to 32 is 99.
Right, right.
Somebody was absent because if it was present, you would see it. So
Yeah.
it would be 67, 32, and 1 instead of 67, 32. So that means somebody was absent.
Yeah.
Alternately, they picked up a couple of alternate senators that don't actually exist.
Yeah. Still, the debate vote passed with flying colors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
Meanwhile,
the turtle himself, Mitch McConnell, has thrown his weight behind this, and so has Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
I read today that Donald Trump is already going on some fucking tirade about primarying those Republicans that voted to advance the infrastructure bill.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he
It's
really
like,
wants to do something,
if he wants to primary them all from jail, that's fine with me.
if he really wants to do something about it, can't he just fire Mitch McConnell's wife? Doesn't she work for him?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I mean, technically, she already is fired.
Yeah. Right, so.
The American people fired Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah, I think that-
although
she
according
was
to
part of that.
although not according to cyber ninjas, if you believe in that bullshit.
But yeah, I think the first thing that is going to be done is the senators want to read the bill, or rather get people to read the bill and tell them what's in it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. Well, that's what they
You
have
know.
staffs for.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's like, but there have been a couple senators that say they want to know what's in it,
Yeah, okay.
which is
Yeah.
which is a fair enough statement because we don't actually know the details of the bill yet.
Yeah.
So it's time is nigh, but not quite there.
Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, there's at least $600 billion being allocated for traditional infrastructure such as roads, shoring up internet cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. Bridges, dams, that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, we can't. The Western United States can't just rely on the Hoover Dam forever. We're supposed to be retiring that thing.
Right.
I don't think people realize how precarious the West situation is, considering the fact that if the Hoover Dam were to, crack tomorrow.
I think a lot of people just think that infrastructure is something you build once.
Yeah.
Which is
Which is wrong and dangerous.
Which is amazing
clear.
considering the fact that we live in an utterly disposable society. I mean, I'm sure we could shore up some of these bridges by just, filling in the cracks with all the unrecyclable plastic that we have.
Well, that's why it's infrastructure, because there's disposable stuff and then there's infrastructure.
Right.
But, God forbid we tell people that we're spackling bridges with recycling. Then I'm sure they would say that's some hippie communist nonsense.
Right. Still, our infrastructure situation is one reason why Biden has been pushing it. The other is, let's be honest here, spite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's getting infrastructure done because Donald Trump couldn't get that done, and
Well, and also Mitch McConnell is still trying to make sure Obama's a one-term president.
right,
Yeah.
It's not that Donald Trump, it's not that Donald Trump couldn't get it done. It's because he didn't want to get it done.
It's still something I think he said he was going to try. I mean, he obviously didn't mean it, but I think he did say he wanted to do that.
He
tried. No. He tried, but he told the Democrats to stop investigating me, and I'll do it.
Yeah, that's not how these things work.
No, that's obviously not how it works. But that's what happened. Steve.
Oh, I know.
That's what happens when America elects the try-hard pick-me president.
Yes. Yes.
Someone sounds exasperated.
If you vote for a reality show host, you get the reality show host. That's what you get.
Yep.
Yeah, but Jerry Springer would have been a better president.
Yeah.
Not wrong. I mean, he had actual governmental experience.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Jerry Springer actually have a law background? Isn't he doing some weird legal show now?
he's doing a court show now. But also, I should note this: he could be a better president because guess what? He was the mayor of Cincinnati.
Oh, so he has actual experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, he lost his job because he had a bad check. But it's like, you know.
Wait. Accountability in politics too?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yes.
That's it. Springer in 2024.
He went off. He was the mayor of Cincinnati. He lost his job because of a bad check. He reinvented himself as a news commentator back when newscasts used to have commentators. That was the thing they used to have. And then he got his own talk show, which originally was just like any other talk show on the air, but because 90s, it turned into what it turned into.
What, they had one big fight and people loved it, so they decided, we're gonna engineer fights now.
I don't even think at that point the fights were planned. You know, it just broke out that way. You know.
Yes.
I mean, given the subject material, if you didn't expect it, you know, come on.
Yeah. We didn't plan to have fights. We just decided to invite on to take a bit from Weird Al, the KKK and a gay Jewish black dude on the same day.
And of course, to be clear,
they had a security team.
Of course, to be clear, I am not victim blaming. I am actually throwing shade, suspecting that there was ulterior motives from the get-go.
I mean, they had a security team, okay? A real legit security team. Hell, the head of that security team eventually got Joe. Steve Wilkos.
He got what?
He got his own spin-off show that was basically conflict. What's it called? Conflict talk show, which was what Jerry Springer was, which was basically him yelling at bad guests and doing lie detector tests and stuff like that. Yes, I'm serious.
This is even better than the real news.
Yes. It's like, Jerry Springer got big and huge, and then it got so huge they decided to spin it off with the head of security getting his own show, and they basically were in Chicago, and then they moved to Connecticut for the last couple years until Jerry went off, and now that other big show, Maury, that's going off the air next year. So conflict talk is a thing of the past now, although they're going to be living off of reruns forever. But you know,
well, yeah,
it's like it's just so weird. Anyway,
you can thank Phil Donahue and Morton Downey Jr.
More Morty.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
I learned what pablum was from that guy.
Yeah, we're talking about
not only was it entertaining, it was educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know. The head of the Arizona recount, the liaison, the actual Republican operative that was supposed to be monitoring it, who leaked information that they were full of shit, has now resigned because he was barred from the premises.
By the way, the DOJ has issued its second warning over partisan fake-ass audits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're gonna follow. They're gonna do something in the very near future.
Yeah.
Probably.
They shot down yet another attempt to federalize election audits.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're not doing a national election audit. Sit down.
No, this was to prevent these partisan actors at the state level from pulling shit like this. The idea was that they were going to nationalize federal. Right. They were going to nationalize federal elections, at least the regulations for them, so that the federal government had oversight over federal elections. Which
something states something.
Which of course does not sit well with the Red State Freedom Caucus minded type individuals who are like, well, I don't want a federal appointees, unelected officials determining the outcome of my election. And I'm like, well, that's exactly what's happening right now. So
yeah, no, they want their unelected officials to not be federal appointees, is all.
Yeah. Well, they want them. They want them to be federal appointees of the right person.
Yeah.
Emphasis on right.
Right. With the right. Yes.
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 Yes. So that was a thing that happened. So yeah. So they're basically any false notions that there was going to be any kind of transparency or integrity in this Maricopa recount. any shred of semblance that this was going to be is just gone now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, not to mention not to mention the fact that several GOP judges, some of whom were appointed by Trump himself, have already questioned the efficacy of this entire situation and issued orders demanding that cyber ninjas actually, turn over their records.
Because for whatever their other faults, many of the people that Trump put on the bench are actual judges, and therefore understand things like occasional things about the law, and also that it looks really bad if you have an organization called fucking Cyber Ninjas.
Indirect violation.
At least, yeah.
Indirect violation of even Arizona state election laws, let alone federal election laws regarding the sanctity of protecting the chain of custody on ballots.
Yeah, I think I read something about Maricopa County now is going to have to buy all new election machines.
I mean, I'm just waiting for them to bust out the philately watermarking kits and start dousing the fucking ballots in the chemical solution to see if they show up with a 1930s style stamp watermark.
I mean, they were literally looking for ballots that had more bamboo flecks in them than normal, because that's traceable to China.
Because of their vast understanding of Chinese culture and paper manufacturing processes that are utterly not racist.
I'm just saying, they basically are already they've already gone into the fucking, it's got to be something about the composition of the fucking thing.
No, I get that, and it's like, what do you think? These ballots are made out of papyrus?
They're basically looking for any excuse to disqualify things they don't like, and they've done everything short of literally mangling them themselves and saying, no, it was like this when we got it.
Which is even funnier because the state Senate has no authority whatsoever to overturn an election, number one. And number two, the officials who could theoretically overturn the results of the election have already stated categorically they won't. And thirdly, there's no fucking way that anybody at the federal level is going to go along with it. So, And if they do try to change the laws once again to create more exclusionary tactics, this will once again be lumped into the ACLU's lawsuit about election integrity in the first place. It's like, once again, we say we don't want to pass these bills on the basis of partisan actors, and yet we are actually talking about adjusting election laws based on the word of partisan actors. It's mind-blowing.
Also, this has been a very instructive experience for us, because a lot of people on the left thought that there were some things that were a little bit fishy when Trump got elected and reelected. And you didn't see any of this shit. People just sucked it up and tried to get someone they liked elected the next time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Of course.
Mostly.
Of course, when
on the governmental level, at least.
Yeah.
We're gonna make voting. We're gonna make voting more transparent by simply not having anywhere for people to vote.
Yeah, that works.
If blue old Tucson wants to vote for a Democrat, they're gonna have to go all the way up to Phoenix.
Paraphrase Pratchett: one man, one vote. The man is me.
All right, Lord Veterinary.
It's like it's like I don't have a problem with dictators as long as I'm the dictator.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, really? Who does?
You know.
Eh,
I think that was
Yeah.
I think
Anyway.
that was attributable to George W. Bush.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway,
powering on through the headlines, the January 6th House Committee had its first meeting yesterday.
Yes.
Like,
And it was like the first adult meeting of the Judiciary Committee since God knows how long.
well, that's because the Republicans own-goaled themselves into this.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah, they're entirely counting on making it easy for themselves to discount after the fact by saying, "Oh no, that was partisan; it doesn't count."
I mean, they were going to do that anyway, but yeah, who cares?
It's just nice
Like-
to see Jim Jordan finally get banned from something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, if we could succeed in banning him from Congress, that would be great. But small steps.
If we could ban him from Earth,
Send him to the dark side of the moon along with Jeff Bezos.
Nah, send him to the sun, player.
The sun doesn't
Yeah,
want
the
this.
sun-
The sun doesn't
The
want
sun
him.
will melt alive. No, the sun will melt him alive.
The sun doesn't want him. It doesn't want any part of him reintegrated into its matrix.
but yeah,
Yeah. I just don't want him to have a way to get off.
Phrasing.
Sure, phrasing went worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, in breaking news,
We'll just
Ron
take-
Popeil is dead.
Wow.
I don't remember who that is.
Mr. Popeil? Holy shit. The guy who
Yeah, he was,
the guy who invented telemarketing as we know it today, or TV telemarketing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
infomercials. King of the infomercials. No.
Yeah, he's the guy who managed to sell spray paint as a hair thing.
Spray on hair. Like-
Yes.
And
Never mind a microphone going. Never mind radio microphone. Never mind that freaking rotisserie oven that he sold the latter part of his career. No, he managed to sell America into spray painting their head and thinking it's hair.
it's paint. You are painting your head.
I always assumed that stuff was like at least some kind of like fucking
I'm pretty sure.
really fine silly screen.
No,
rather
I'm pretty.
than just
I'm
color.
pretty sure it's fiberglass based.
I mean, if you think about it, if the situation is like this, the world that we live in, you could pretty much tell that it was going to be inevitable once it became clear that Americans would pay however much that thing was worth to get spray paint and think it's hair.
I
Okay?
mean, now, mind you, while
It would hit you.
Yeah.
How stupid this country is. But then again, considering the 90s, anything was possible, considering that people fell for people in a telemarketing room as psychics. So, hey.
Hey,
Hey,
and you could get it for just 1,999 easy payments of 1999.
well, you have to wonder if they're going to set it and forget it with his casket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, though that being said, he will live on as a head in a jar.
Yeah, thank you, Futurama.
Oh, I found the perfect image.
I'm sure there's a few perfect images when it comes to Ron Popeil.
No, for spray on hair.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Let's see if this works.
all right.
Don't do something that'll get us banned.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you guys privately first.
Yeah.
All right.
And, they're doing anything stupid. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, that was the. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh,
I
God.
that looked like it, now, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that bit. It's like, did he get? Yeah, it's like it had to be the case.
Like,
Dear God.
I kind of don't want to remember that guy.
no, nobody does, but you know,
Hold on. I'll get that. I'll get that up for the viewers.
Oh boy.
yeah.
if
But-
anybody's curious what I'm naming the file, it's called Miller Spray.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, infomercials haven't suffered a blow this big since Billy Mays died.
Yeah.
Blow this big phrasing.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy did a lot of blow.
I know.
There it is. There it is, gang. With Stephen Miller. Remember that one? Like a stick paint on his head? That's
I
right.
mean, is there any chance we could use him as a pocket fisherman?
Only if he's the end that goes in the water and gets eaten, and then gets eaten by the fish. Although I don't think this guy would attract many fish.
Yeah. I mean, we could spend the
I'll be
entire
honest,
rest of the
pretty
show
much
just.
I'll be honest.
just-
Pretty much another thing I remember about him is people calling him a Vladimir Putin impersonator.
Yeah. But getting back.
Yes, Adam.
Yeah. But I mean, we could spend like the entire rest of the show just listing off the products that Ron Popeil hawked over the years. Like,
There is a Weird Al song called "Mr. Popeil" from the In 3D album. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, but you know, he was the one who gave us the fucking Bedazzler. Like
The Pocket
Oh,
Fisherman. The
kitchen-
Pocket Fisherman. I had one.
Yep. The smokeless ashtray. The inside the egg scrambler. These are all real things, by the way.
He also invented the process for cryogenically freezing people's heads for later revival.
Yep.
Well, he patented it.
Yeah.
It actually, when I looked him up just now, it actually listed that as one of his crowning achievements.
Yeah, that's what the Futurama joke was about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it should be mentioned that not the only celebrity death that happened in the last 24 hours.
I'm turning that off now. I'm turning off Stephen Miller now.
Get him off the screen. The point was made and we're good to go. Now get him out of here. Goodbye.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I mean,
it's like, of course.
Find a picture of ZZ Top because their bassist just passed away today.
Bassist just died. Yeah.
Yeah. Bassist.
And then a couple days ago, the drummer of Slipknot.
He plays the river fish.
Couple days ago, the drummer of Slipknot.
Yes.
Also passed.
So music's had a bit of a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Water Rock got a bit of a hit. Yeah. So.
No.
We're getting to that time where they're in their 70s and 80s. So.
Right. The singularity hasn't happened yet, so mortality is still a thing.
Yep.
Like
Still a thing, and oh well.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's that's rough.
I guess shifting more to entertainment stuff that is ending but isn't a death. Arthur has finally been canceled. Like
After apparently 25 years.
Yeah.
The last 9, 10 being in Flash, by the way, for the record. So they meant
That's over 6 times as long as the Confederate States of America.
Let's just say that I have a fondness for the show because, and I think I'm saying it here in a more public setting for the first time with my voice, but I had a Barney addiction as a kid, like a deep one, as late as 6, 7. And the thing that got me off a detox from the show, from that purple dinosaur, was Arthur. That was my detox. So, yeah, I have a very fondness for that, and on that basis, and also the fact that the funny thing about this show is that, and it's strange to bring politics in here, but this show pissed off conservatives twice.
I know they had Mr. Ratburn get gay married on screen. Last year or the other year?
Yeah, and it was banned on two PBS stations in Arkansas and Alabama, which is the first time something like that had happened since a censorship ban. But that's not a story.
And this is a pretty major character.
Yes. Does anybody remember what happened in 2005? So Arthur had in the 2000s, because it was because Arthur had become the biggest cartoon on PBS, they decided to spin it off for a couple years with the Buster character, aka the rabbit. That was Arthur's friend. They had him basically do a show where he narrated video that's with people all over the country. It was called Postcards from Buster. And one of those episodes that they did featured a maple, I think, is it a syrup or sugar? But it was called Sugar Time was the name of the episode. They went to Vermont to interview 2 lesbian farmers up there. And it pissed off conservatives horrendously, to the point where Margaret Spellings, the day after she became W's second-term education secretary, sent a letter to the CEO of PBS threatening them of their funding from a program that they were doing called Ready to Learn because of that episode. Because kids shouldn't see that kind of lifestyle on public TV. Yeah. Never mind the fact that PBS had already pulled it from rotation because, well, they were cowardly at the time with that, funding, and they really didn't have much of a leg to stand on. But, yeah. So that was so the whole bit with Mr. Rappin 2 years ago wasn't the first time this franchise royally pissed off conservative America. And the fact that they were willing to, that the people behind the show were willing to do that, that's another reason why I'll forever have fondness for the show. And the fact that Mr. Rapper Gay Wedding was basically one last F you to conservative America on the way out the door. Because I think by about that time they realized that they really don't have anything much left to do, and they can basically live off of reruns for forever. But yeah. So, yeah, 25 years, a hell of a run, and end of an era. Although, they'll be living off of, but again, like I said, they'll be living off of reruns forever.
Yeah, I mean, though there are perhaps not as many episodes of Arthur as you might think. I think there's about 243.
Yeah, the last couple years, the seasons are basically in air quotes and have only been like 4-6 episodes. So yeah.
Well, animation is expensive, and long-running animation even more so, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's why they flipped, and that's why they flipped to Flash animation about a decade ago. So yeah.
Well, it's also
it's a fairly Flash-friendly style, at least.
Well, it's also keep in mind we are talking about PBS animation, not exactly the most lavishly funded stuff in the world.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's done locally in the United States, then it doesn't matter. Cheap is relative.
Yeah,
the only reason I can afford to animate on the scale that I'm doing at all is the fact that there is a lot of, shall we say, low to no cost in-house work being done by both myself and my partners in crime.
Right.
Otherwise, the scale that we're producing would not be physically possible within the confines of the United States. Yeah. And rightly so under its labor laws too, especially with the cost of living. I mean, what did they estimate now that the cost of living is? Subsistence is now $15 an hour, and to make an actual livable wage, it would be around $27 an hour.
I don't think that's been a thing since the days of Filmation. in terms of animating stuff here.
Uh-huh.
An episode of The Simpsons costs about $500,000 a piece to make. Same with Archer, or literally anything else. And these are shows that actually have production teams in Korea. So, I mean, that's considered cheap
Right.
nowadays.
Well, in the case of Arthur, it's actually not Korea, it's Canada.
Okay, then $450,000 Canadian per episode, which is roughly $325,000 US or $375,000.
Also consider the fact that this is PBS, so there's a strict budget to attend to
Right.
because of the image you get. So it's basically like, okay, we've got over 200 episodes here. We've got 25 years of content to mine over, and we also own this show, so we can decide to end this ourselves.
Right.
Because if it was if they didn't own it, because Arthur is a production of WGBH Boston, rather than something that is owned by a nonprofit, a so-called nonprofit entity.
Is Mark Brown still alive randomly?
I believe so. Yes.
If so,
I
I wonder what, if any, role he has in supervision for
I
anything
think
in the show.
I guess somewhat, but not too much. But I mean, yeah, he's still alive. But
He is
I read a lot of
74 and has a net worth of $40 million.
Okay.
hey, can't knock the hustle, baby. You can't knock the hustle.
Right?
Sorry for the slight distraction, I guess, but I read those books a lot as a kid.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway.
We do need to move on to a somewhat pressing matter.
Well, we talked about this on my show quite extensively, but you go ahead with your business on Activision Blizzard.
Yeah. So, as of today, the Activision Blizzard employees walked out over the company's handling of sexual misconduct and sexual harassment in the workplace. The company's initial response was utterly tone deaf, and there's been a lot of scrambling in place in the interceding week since the California Department of Labor's lawsuit came to light.
Do you want to put up the picture of the employees in front of the Blizzard gates there? 'Cause that's a hell of there.
If I can find it in a timely fashion, because I'd rather talk about it than show it.
Because that picture is that's a pretty damn good picture there. The statement, I retweeted it, so.
Let's go to images.
Yeah, I retweeted it. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean.
So, following the initial backlash, the CEO of Activision Blizzard has come out and stated that their initial response was tone deaf. That they have the founder and former CEO, or rather co-founder and former CEO of Blizzard, is taking names so that way he can build support for the movement against Blizzard. And he wants to hear accounts. He's like I want accounts. We're taking names. Because the current CEO, as I said, issued a statement the other day stating that their response was tone deaf and that they needed to respond with more compassion and empathy, and has subsequently hired a law firm whose lead team member was actually an administration official. I forget whose administration. Who was
W's
administration. Wait, but they were someone who specifically championed women's rights and LGBT plus rights in the workplace. So they have a track record for being on the right side of things, or the correct side of things in this particular case.
Yeah, that's kind of offset by the by Activision Blizzard pointing to a recent hiree of there's also from the Bush administration who helped defend their torture
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I think
Yeah.
the word, if you say to me that they come from the W administration and they work for women's and gay rights,
Right.
but I remember that administration. Mm-mm. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was.
you may have,
It's a weird. It's a weird contrary. It's a weird contrarian setup to be sure of that.
yeah, because that administration, let's remember, won its re-election based upon trying to deny gay people the right to marry.
Oh yeah,
So,
there's no question
yeah.
about that. There's no question
So
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So you may have had the best of intentions, but you are who you work for. I'm sorry.
Now, considering the speed at which all of this is happening, this is an unusually quick reversal.
Yeah,
As I
yeah.
pointed as I
This is clean up on aisle 6.
as I pointed out on Twitter the other day, once the lawsuit was filed, Activision Blizzard's hands were tied as far as their response, because that's how our judicial system works. You admit anything, you admit to everything. That's kind of how that works. And so whether or not they had any intention of cleaning up their act was immediately overshadowed by the fact that legal action was taken. And so the natural response of any corporation, because we could also sit here and talk about Riot or Ubisoft or any other company that has recently come under fire for exactly the same thing.
The point Ubisoft, because there's a lot of connections between the two of them. So,
Well, and the fact that they're still actively, after 3 years, fighting the government of France. But yeah, the point being is that the standard policy of any corporation when attacked for any legal reason is to circle the wagons. You know, it doesn't matter right, wrong, or indifferent what their position is. It's like, you know, once again, if we admit to anything, we admit to everything.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Kotaku site has put up a expose on what the Cosby room or the Cosby.
Cosby Room, okay?
What?
It's bad. It's it's really bad.
Yeah, but yeah, all you have to say is Bill Cosby Room, and you go, oh my, no.
Well,
So,
it gets worse
Mhm.
because it's not. It was called the Cosby Room because there was a big picture of Bill Cosby in the room.
Yeah,
And it is a room that was stocked to the gills with alcohol.
and there was sex.
Well, here's the thing. All of the implications is this was a rape room.
Yep.
Let us be clear here.
Yeah.
If
If this is a room where there was drinking and there was sex, what do you think happens in that type of situation? Yeah, rape.
and even if it did, even if it didn't happen, it's nothing proven and all that stuff. This is the kind of thing that doesn't belong in the fucking workplace.
No.
Oh boy.
And apparently,
And by the way, this isn't even the worst of it. The worst of it is the lady who got took on a business trip with a supreme fucking creep who was so sexually abusive she committed suicide.
ugh.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Also, some of those chat logs are
Yeah.
condemnatory.
There's a lot here. When they're talking about toxic culture, this is toxic culture. It's not just one thing.
This is as toxic as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the definition of toxic culture right here, folks.
And unsurprisingly, there are defenders of all of this.
Oh,
But
of course.
But that's kind of immaterial because, Activision Blizzard has been hit with a governmental lawsuit.
Yeah,
So-
it's like, yeah.
There you go. Enjoy.
There you go. Enjoy.
Enjoy right here.
And
It's coming up, folks. Prepare for the trigger warnings because it's about to be revealed. Plap. There you go.
Yeah.
There's the
Yeah.
there's the Cosby Suite picture from Kotaku.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well, there's also apparently what's his name here? Greg Street, who was the creative director at Riot in 2013, posted on Twitter a picture of him in that room with that Bill Cosby photo.
that
Yep.
is the least surprising thing there. I'm like, by
Yeah.
the way, some of those people in that picture, they're from the HR department. Oh yeah,
That's the most fucked up thing about this photo.
Mm.
yeah,
And of course,
like
no discussion about sexual harassment in the gaming industry would be complete if we didn't bring up the fact that because of the revelation of Blizzard's activities, Riot has been drawn back into the fray.
yep. By the way,
Yes, like-
California's labor relations or fair housing labor relations, something like that. It has dropped a fresh lawsuit on Riot because they're still fucking awful.
Yeah.
We were talking about playing Valorant on the stream, and I'm like, I don't know, not only is the community pretty fucking toxic on that game, have you heard about Riot?
Yeah.
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 No.
Yeah, because like I said,
All right, that graphic's out of here.
Greg Street, Greg Street, like I said, Greg Street, who was the head of creative development at Riot Games, was previously the lead system designer at Blizzard. And he posted a photo on Twitter in 2013 with that Bill Cosby photo you saw a few moments ago, with him pointing to it. So it all connects.
So
It all connects.
So, as pertains to this broadcast and the streams on this channel, Varius and I have agreed that for the time being, since the only crime that Epic and Hi-Res Studios are currently guilty of is hubris, attacking Apple, that we're going to go ahead and support their products because we're not that fond of Apple either.
I mean, you could also see if you can get into CS:GO or Dota 2.
I mean, CSGO, the big problem with them was that they were being looked at by the FBI's counterterrorism unit for a while and were taken off of Steam. So,
no, CS:GO's still there.
It's still, they put it back up. It was gone for about a week. But I don't know. I mean, are we going to sit here and have a conversation about Blizzard and Riot and not include Valve?
Valve's not involved in this.
No, but I'm
No.
saying, but in terms of industry attitude, as many articles have pointed out, there's really no one who is exempt from finger pointing in this whole situation.
I'm like, I would disagree with that since Valve is not being sued by any government authority over their toxic workforce.
That would be I would place the asterisk as yet. As with any other, company, like for example, Sony right now is circling the legal wagons and removing objectionable content from as many games as possible because of the fact that they're afraid of a potential future lawsuit.
I've heard things about Insomniac and Naughty Dog, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's future stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Valve is terrible for other reasons.
I'm not denying that. It's like, Epic is terrible for their own reasons. But we're not talking about those reasons. We're talking about specifically a toxic work culture so bad that they are being sued by states. Hey, keep in mind, this is just the beginning of Activision Blizzard's woes. Who else who else is going to sign on this? Is the Fed's going to get involved?
Right. No, but the point is that currently no one's investigating those other companies, and they're all concerned about it because, well, quite frankly, this is a Silicon Valley problem.
Right.
Yeah.
This kind of culture and workplace environment is unfortunately endemic of a lot of things. like, for example, another thing that they're against is arbitration clauses, of which companies like Uber and Lyft has extensively built into their employee agreements. I would know, since I am both an Uber and Lyft driver. Virtually all gig economy work is predicated under this, and that is standard operating procedure for literally any app developer in Silicon Valley and its periphery. So the question is not if any of these companies are currently being targeted. It's a matter. The question mark becomes when, because unless they get an opportunity to change before anybody levies the gun sights at them, maybe this will have a positive effect industry wide. Although, given the behavior of the other two companies we've mentioned, Ubisoft and Riot, I'm looking at you, having their ongoing struggles for 3 years, relating to a workplace environment that has existed for more than a decade, if not decades, as in the case with Blizzard. You can't help but wonder. I mean, on a smaller degree, our old friends at Trendy Entertainment ran into this problem back in 2013, where they had to clean house from top to bottom because of allegations. Again, Barias and I were talking about this extensively. So one can only hope that by tackling one of the biggest Electronic Arts. So one can only hope that with one of the largest targets in the industry, with a $1.5 billion war chest at their disposal to work with, and over $100 billion worth of industry contracts and endorsement deals and so on and so forth on the line here, across multiple entertainment platforms, I would say that shining the light in this particular dark corner may have ramifications for the entire industry.
I suppose we'll see what transpires.
At least one can hope.
Yeah. But the thing of it is, the pressure has to be kept on Activision Blizzard. I talked, once again, I ranted about this on my show, but, it's not just, okay, you did the walkout and, that's it. I'm like, you're going to have sustained solidarity, whether that means forming a union, going on strike, not buying Activision Blizzard products, or re-upping the subscriptions and all that kind of deals. Like, if you, because look what happened last time. Something in regards to Activision Blizzard. Remember the whole Hong Kong thing? Like, that lasted until BlizzCon happened, and the gaming audience went, "Ooh, look at the shinies," and just dropped the whole thing.
Right. Well, here's what the walkout organizers have said, and they are calling it a strike. The walkout organizers have 4 demands for management: end mandatory arbitration clauses in employee contracts, as the organizers say they, quote, protect abusers and limit the ability of victims to seek restitution; adopt policies to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion; publish compensation data, promotion rates, and salary ranges for employees of all genders and ethnicities; and hire a third party to audit the company's structure, human resources department, and executives.
Not coincidentally, Activision Blizzard is working with the same law firm that Amazon did with their union busting efforts.
It said the organizers said, "We crafted these demands as a first round. However, this is something that will take months, if not years, to work through. These are not easy fixes or sound bites, but propositions that are meant to drastically improve our lives and work."
So, yeah. As far as this being the precursor to some sort of wider industry trend, I don't really have a lot of hope in regards to unionization in this country.
I don't know. I don't know if unionization is necessarily the thing that has to happen here. I mean, development is weird. Development is part producer, which is management. It's part labor. It's a little bit of everything. So as a result, I think a lot of these people are contract workers who don't actually qualify for union representation anyway. But but that doesn't mean they can't strike. I mean, because a strike is not something that only unions do.
Right. Well, it's also, I will say that the tech workers do have leverage that a lot of blue collar people don't, because they don't have easily replaceable skill sets.
Correct.
And
they're far more indispensable than jobs you can learn on the fly. This is something that requires extensive education and also intimate knowledge of the product.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the lead developer of Overwatch leaving was such a massive blow to the future planning for the franchise.
Right. So this is definitely a thing to keep an eye out.
Which kind of sheds an interesting new light on that. If you think about that, the head of one of their major franchises leaving so close to this happening.
They're connected.
I'm sure they are in some way, shape, or form. Now, how they're connected, whether it was in solidarity with the idea, discussed over workplace conditions, or being directly involved, we do not know. But it definitely puts a different cast on the whole thing. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, I guess how do I put this? Lighten the mood. We move over to He-Man to close things out.
Is that really lightening the mood, though? I mean, Skeletor representing incels?
I mean, comparatively speaking, yes.
Personally, I didn't see it as such. I felt like it's like, would you want to be associated with a monster rather than the idea that he was somehow sexually repressed because women don't like him anymore?
I have not actually seen it, but the quote that I heard was that he said that no one would have him as a man, which is definitely a comedy.
Interestingly, that was a non-gender specific reference too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that's definitely a euphemism for having sex.
In some circles, yes.
It's a relatively old one.
Yes.
But yeah,
I saw it more as him representing being a monster.
Well,
but go ahead.
Well, I'm talking more about the Masters Universe Revelation limited series that's had its first part released on Netflix last week.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
That's literally a line of dialogue uttered by Skeletor in the first episode.
And just clarifying that.
Yeah,
because it's fairly recent and not everyone has seen it.
Not that the original series was Shakespeare. Let's be clear about this. There's a lot of rose-colored glasses of nostalgia. I mean, we made a comment about Filmation earlier, and I think that stands.
Well, yeah. Well, not surprising. A lot of quote-unquote fans have been going apeshit over Revelation.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Smith's response today was literally, "Get over it."
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's Kevin Smith for you. I mean,
I know.
From what I've heard, I think he's done a better job of capturing the actual tone of Masters of the Universe than the tone that a lot of people want it to have been, would have been.
Well, it's like, yeah, you want to talk about rose-colored glasses. I don't know what these people watched. If it was the 2002 series, this isn't a continuation of that.
It's a sequel to the original series.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if they did watch the original series, then their memory has edited them to believe that it is somehow darker and grittier than, say, the Care Bears.
I
mean,
I don't know. I don't know. Some pretty dark shit happened in the Care Bears. I don't know if you remember
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, this ain't Thundercats 2011, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So, by the standards of 1980s television, the Masters of the Universe cartoon was considered to be one of the more violent cartoons of the age. Yeah,
And yet they still had a no blood policy.
Well, once again, we're talking about the standards of the time.
Incredibly misogynistic too.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, Tila, you can't go on the mission because you're a girl.
That's kind of what Revelations is about.
Right.
Like, because it's basically doing a remake of that episode Tila's Quest.
All right. Hold on. What?
That's why one of my favorite lines in Masters of the Universe comes from Tila after she fucking rolls through, shoots like 4 people, and she goes, "Woman at arms," and I'm like,
Okay. I just remember getting my mouth washed out with soap because I said that the reason that Skeletor called Evelyn a boob was because she had big ones. Didn't make that mistake twice.
Yeah.
I was, let's see, in '83, I was 6. A rather astute observation for a 6-year-old.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Anyway, part of the reason that people are pissed off is not just because this stars Tila. It's because He-Man dies in the first 5 minutes, along with Skeletor.
Spoilers: people that die sometimes don't stay dead,
Yeah,
especially if they're important to the franchise.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, but that's why people are pissed. Is that they kill off He-Man in the first couple of minutes, and they decide to go, "Hey, let's have Tila try to, carry the weight here."
Yeah,
which is probably what you probably would have done if you did a revival like this.
Also,
Now,
she has an undercut, so she's automatically a feminist horror trope.
well, also she's from 2008, apparently. Like, that haircut is not in fashion. Like,
Look,
What
man,
planet are you
I am
living
not
on?
going to- I am not going to try to dictate the fashion trends.
Listen, the
of
cyclical.
Aside from to comment that apparently chest harness straps are in for men.
I mean,
Are they leather or metal?
Yes.
also He-Man
Yes.
has a magical girl transformation now.
He
Awesome.
always did. It just wasn't animated because they had no budget.
I mean, he has an actual one now.
It was less sophisticated than the original series transporter effect.
All right.
Again, they had no budget.
I saw. I know. I saw the original series. That it's Filmation.
It's Filmation money versus Netflix money. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Filmation was using limited animation from the early 70s on that.
I guess the point that I was trying to make is that Filmation totally would have given him a magical girl transformation if they could afford it.
You know what always bugs me about fan reaction? They're like, if the original company was involved, then it wouldn't have been like this. And it's like, first of all of Filmation's assets are owned by DreamWorks, so the original company is as involved as they're ever going to be. Also, you're gonna good luck exhuming Lou Scheimer and Hal Sutherland.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. The original company is involved. That is Mattel.
Correct.
Like,
although some dummy tried to argue that it was a comic book first. No, it was a toy line, you fucking moron.
It was a toy line. It was a comic. It was a television show. then it was a movie.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, it was a movie. We don't talk about that movie much, though.
The Secret of the Sword, because wait.
No, you would wish.
No, I'm talking about the actual Masters of the Universe movie.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, with Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren,
Which
yeah.
is an underrated gem. I mean, if you're high.
Isn't the word I would use.
If you're high.
Yeah.
Now, don't be
Well,
mean.
not
Don't be
all
mean.
gems
Don't be
are
mean.
valuable.
Kira will come over here and chastise you.
Oh,
It's one of her favorite movies.
but yeah,
No.
but that's actually how the divide between
come on.
He-Man and She-Ra works.
I mean,
Like-
I mean, listen. You've got Alan Oppenheimer. Of the great Skeletors, you've got Alan Oppenheimer, Frank Langella, and now Mark Hamill.
Right. And Mark Hamill, I wasn't too big of a fan of in the role.
I don't feel it. I don't feel it.
It's mainly because Mark Hamill has like one voice, and it's the goddamn Joker.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Skeletor just sounds like the Joker.
It kind of makes Skeletor sound a little bit like kind of like Cobra Commander in G.I. Joe the movie. I was once a man.
So they should have got someone who's played Starscream, is what you're saying.
Well, I think that guy's dead.
And not in the Unicorn trilogy.
I believe that guy's dead.
Yeah,
Huh?
but
More than one person has voiced Starscream.
This is true, but the original Cobra Commander and Starscream, I believe, has passed away.
Yeah, but some
Okay.
of the more recent Starscreams do a decent imitation of the tone, at least.
And there's the key phrase: imitation.
yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, we should probably wrap it up for the week.
Oh, come on now! It was just getting good. Come on.
yeah, well, it's getting good, but it's getting late.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that. We all got to go to work now. All right, a little bit of Starship Moonhawk news. Tawny Platisse has joined the cast as Shasta. She will make her first appearance in the first part of the Mercadian Affair, hopefully before the end of the year. Contracts are signed, paperwork is done, plots are in motion. So that's the I would say that's the biggest development we have going on right now. We've been doing a bit of a social media campaign to promote this fact, so I'm kind of excited about that. And other than that, for the time being, there's no Overwatch or any other Activision Blizzard games currently being streamed on this channel, so you'll probably be seeing a higher emphasis and rotation on my retro gaming stuff, which was about 10 times more popular anyway.
But we're still good on RPGs from what was it?
Small indie,
obscure Japanese indie developers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not feeling Drakengard 3 right now, so I may do something like Chaos Legion or something like that tomorrow. We'll see what I feel like actually streaming. I'm still trying to figure out what people want to see alternatively, but once I get stymied on progress, who knows? Also, you will see a lot more advancement in MS Saga starting on Sunday because of the fact that I've been off-screen grinding.
Oh boy.
For a change.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been off-screen grinding, so it's like all that boring shit that nobody gives a crap about, because that gives me way too much time to make off-the-cuff commentary that may get me canceled. All right. Well, this has been a revelatory episode.
Well, it's been a while.
Yep. A lot of information covered, so hopefully everybody is able to sort their way through that, and I hope you all had a good time. We had pretty good numbers today from what I could see, so I'm pretty excited about that. So, that's it for this week. On behalf of myself and the crew, I'm Mac Paladin. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.